If you've ever seen an AAC device and you felt a little nervous inside because you felt overwhelmed or you felt lost on how to even get started, you are going to want to listen to this episode. Today, we are getting into what I would tell myself my first year working with students who use AAC devices. It can be tricky, it can be overwhelming. I know that I felt overwhelmed at first, but doing this 20 plus years and focusing on helping students who are not yet speaking find their voice and help them on their communication journeys. I am breaking down my top 5 tips that you may not have thought of yet. I am here to support you. So let's get into this episode all about AAC.
You're listening to Autism Outreach Podcast, a podcast full of ready-to-use strategies to help those with autism strengthen their communication skills. Here's your host, Rose Griffin of ABA Speech, a speech therapist and board-certified behavior analyst who shares tips you can use in your next therapy session.
Today, we're getting into AAC devices. Welcome to my summer series where I'm sharing solo shows that are shorter and just good information that I have learned over the past 20 plus years in the field. I've been a speech therapist for 20 plus years, and I've been dually certified for 12 of those. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm old. I digress. I'm going to be talking about my 5 top tips and strategies when working with students who use AAC devices. I wish I could tell my 23-year-old self all of these things. So these are tips about what I would tell myself my first year working with students who use AAC devices. Tip number 1, it's okay to not have all of the answers. It is okay to not have all of the answers. This is important for all of us listening. Tell yourself this mantra. It's okay. It's okay. You are not going to have all of the answers. If you have students who are using different devices, different softwares, which is great because AAC assessment should be individualized, that is amazing, but you may be new to a software. Maybe you've never had a student who used LAMP before, or you've never had a student who uses touch chat. And so you're going to have a little bit of a learning curve, and you may not be able to answer the question of, well, when a teacher asks, I thought this button was in here, or where do I find this button? And maybe you don't know. You are not sure how to locate buttons you're not aware of on the device. Just say, I'm not sure. Let me check on that. I think that's really important. It doesn't make us less than as a speech therapist or a BCBA. It's just the reality. There's a lot that we're trying to do. The work that we do is super important, and we cannot know everything. So that's number 1. It's simple, but I think it's important. Number 2, think about what access do you have to an AAC consultant? I want to give you a couple examples. When I worked down in Leander ISD, shout out Leander ISD, actually just sent them some action builder cards and double up. Yay. I had access to an AAC consultant. We had one speech therapist. It was a big job for that person. That was a lot of work. It was a new position, I believe, and we had one person who was a speech therapist, and she was an AAC consultant for the entire district, which was at the time a 33 school district. So she was busy. But one thing that she did, which I also did down in my role down there, I would once a month talk to our awesome group of speech paths. There were about 35 of them. I would talk to them about autism and ABA and speech therapy. It was so cool. So she would come to us at a staff meeting and she would talk about AAC. And we could talk to her about trials. We could talk to her about devices. And it was very, very nice. And that was embedded in the district. That was an awesome district. We were trained appropriately. We had time to work together, go through case studies, and have access to these people who were experts in these different areas, which was amazing. So thanks, Leander, for that. The other thing to think about, if you don't have something like that or somebody in that role, do you have somebody in your county? So here in Ohio, I live in a county and we have educational service centers in our counties. And we had access to, when I worked in a district for 10 years, this really great district. It was a very affluent district. I talk about it often in an anonymous way on the podcast and throughout all my content, actually. We had access to somebody who was an AAC consultant. And this is all this person does. This person was a speech therapist, and this person did a lot of training, went to training on AAC so they could come and help us. I had a very contentious, every case was almost contentious in that district, but I had a very contentious situation. But what was cool about that situation is I got to meet with this consultant every single month. It was in the IEP, which was so cool for me because this person was just a wealth of information. So this person helped me with AAC assessment. This person helped me with ordering AAC devices, AAC accessories like holders, key guards, mounts. Oh my goodness. I just got a headache when I said all those things because there's so much to know. But this person was in the loop. They knew their stuff. So ask yourself, do you have access to that? Somebody in the district level, somebody in your county. I've been doing a lot of live trainings for people in California, and it sounds like instead of educational service centers, their consortium of services are called SELPAs. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. If you see me at a conference, will you just let me know if I'm saying that really wrong? So, same deal. They might have somebody that is contacting different schools and may be able to be helpful in the area of AAC. If you don't have that person, that gets to step number 4. So I don't want to skip ahead. Okay, so who do you have that could be a mentor and a support in your own environment? Number 3 is collaboration. Collaboration is going to be absolutely vital. From the time that we start an assessment to the time that the student gets a device, to the time that the student is using the device. There is research out there that I talk about in my Intro to AAC course, which is our ASHA and ACE approved course. It is now in the CEU library at the ABA Speech Connection. I will drop a link for it in the show notes. But I talk about collaboration because device abandonment is very real, where somebody may still benefit, need to use an AAC device, but they don't. The device is abandoned, and we don't want that to happen. And one thing that we can do to try and make sure that that doesn't happen as an antecedent intervention is we can communicate, we can collaborate. So that means parents trying to have ongoing communication with the team, parents, other therapists, outside BCBAs, speech therapists, consultants, admin, gen ed teachers, special education teachers, OT, PT, whoever, job coach, if the student's older, whoever is a part of the team, obviously the client. We want to make sure that we try to have that collaboration piece and set up some type of communication loop. I am a school-based SLP 2 days a week. I know how hard that is. I know how hard that is. But even if it is just a running Google Doc or a quarterly check-in, something so that people know I am here to be a support. Okay. Number 4. I wanted to talk about this one ahead. I was getting ahead of myself. Contact those AAC companies. They are your friend. They can provide trainings. They can troubleshoot questions. They can help you get a loaner device to do a trial. It's absolutely amazing what they can do. And I think one of the connection members was telling me, I believe it's AbleNet. I might be getting that wrong. I get all their emails, but I haven't used them personally for an AAC question. AbleNet, I think, is really great with helping to get a device, to do a trial, to get things up and running. So if you're a speech therapist or a BCBA, you're probably on their email list. They have a pretty strong marketing game going. I want to reach out to them and see if they will come and do a training for us here at ABA Speech about a device trial or about funding and about those questions that are just so overwhelming. So AAC companies will typically have sales representatives in your region. It may be somebody covering your state. If you live in a state that's more rural, that person may cover a couple states, but that person is there to help you. And usually that person is a speech language pathologist or a professional in the special education realm. So make sure you know what those companies are, Proloco, Prenke, Romic, et cetera, et cetera. They are there to help you. Okay. They are there to help you. They are in sales as well because it's a business, but they are there to help you. And they're very, very knowledgeable on their products. So contact your AAC companies, your local sales rep. I've had reps come out to my workplaces. When I worked at a non-public program, one of my best friends owns KidsLink, really great program here in Ohio. And I organized a couple different reps to come out and do a training for us, our team of speech therapists. And we had devices that they let us, borrow so we could get to know the different technologies and softwares. And it was amazing. And all you have to do is just pick up that phone or even just boop, boop, boop on the computer and reach out. And they are there and usually are very, very helpful. Okay. Number 5, I want you to realize that it's a marathon, not a sprint. Okay. Everything with AAC is a marathon, not a sprint. So whether you are like somebody who sent me a message on Instagram last week and said, I am lost, Rose, when it comes to AAC, or whether you are somebody who, like Barb Weber, who is in the connection, she's dually certified, she is a rock star. She did a training for us about AAC assessment, which is available in our CEU library at the connection. She knows AAC, okay? She's probably not going to call herself an expert in AAC because she's not the kind of person to do that, but she's an expert in the area of AAC. So a lot of stuff I say about AAC, it's because I've learned it from Barb Weber, okay? She's very smart. It is a marathon, not a sprint. So no matter where you are on that continuum of having no experience with AAC, having just a little bit of experience, or you're more advanced and you're learning, you are always going to be learning, right? If you're new, maybe you take Intro to AAC. We have that course in our library. If you're Barb, maybe you're joining us for journal article studies that we do in the connection. You are up to date on recent research because there's always going to be things coming out about AAC. It's a very important topic to us as educators, as speech therapists, BCBAs, parents, however the capacity that you're listening. And just know that it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. If you don't know all the answers right now, it's okay. That takes me back to number 1. Perfect time to recap. Okay, so first year working with students with use AAC devices, let's say that you're transitioning and you're like, oh my goodness, Rose, all of my students have AAC devices. I'm nervous. Or maybe you're a CFY, or maybe you're a graduate student, or maybe you are transitioning from, like my friend Susan, from medical to more of an educational model. It's okay. It's a learning curve, but it's okay. Number 1, it's okay to not have all the answers. Number 2, utilize your resources. Do you have an AAC consultant in your district, in your company, in your county? Number 3, let's collaborate. I think I say it every podcast. Let's collaborate. Number 4, contact those AAC companies. Contact them. They want to hear from you. They are here to help and support us. And number 5, it is a marathon, not a sprint. Technology is always changing. We have in the connection a lot of courses about AAC. So the ABA Speech Connection is our membership. We do a new live course every single month. And we also have a CEU library of self-paced courses during the school year, more traditional school year. We do journal article studies where we read an article and then we get together and we get nerdy and we get in the weeds of more intermediate and advanced topics, which I just love. I love that. You get a lot of CEUs for that and you get to talk with other people, which is so fun. I just love that type of community learning. I hope that this has been a helpful episode. I'm trying to do a summer series where I answer your frequently asked questions. Make sure that you send me a direct message over on Instagram if you have a question that I haven't answered here about AAC. I always love hearing from you. And until next time, remember to keep things fun and functional. Thanks for listening to Autism Outreach. If you enjoyed the show today, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode full of actionable strategies you can use in your therapy room. Write a review too. That would mean so much to me. I always love hearing from you. Have a specific topic that you want included on a future show? Reach out over on Instagram, ABA Speech by Rose, or visit me at www.abaspeech.org.